All right, I'm here with Marc Washington. He is the CEO and founder of Supergut. Marc, welcome to the show, brother.
What's going on? How you doing, Joel? Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, super excited to have you on and talk all things gut health. Like I was telling you offline, I got a chance to sample some of your company's good stuff. And I got to say, you guys are, I really appreciate when I can see a brand that puts a lot of effort and a lot of work. They're not using synthetic flavors and all this kind of stuff. And you guys were, we'll talk about it, you were using some really good sugars like allulose and just some good stuff. So I'm super excited to talk about you, gut health, and metabolic health and all those kind of fun things.
Good stuff. Me too, man. Let's go.
You know, I'm always curious, though, when I bring people on like yourself, I'm always curious, like, how did you get started or just so fascinated with gut health and prebiotics to the point where you're like, okay, I need to birth a company from this because it's that important. The world needs to hear this. There's always something special about that. So what was there? Was there a day you realized that this needed to happen?
Yeah, no, it was a journey, right? It wasn't just one point in time, but it did culminate. And I describe it as, a head meets heart moment that crystallized to start this. I'd say first for context, like this general space of health and wellness, it's my life, right? I mean, it is what drives me. It's my North Star, like both personally, right? I'm really passionate about health and wellness. I've always, been very thoughtful about fitness, played sports. I played football and also very cognizant of nutrition. And then professionally, like I've been able to combine that personal passion with my professional career, right? Helping other people live healthier lives. It's what gets me going in the morning. And to me, it's like the ultimate high. So that's kind of the context. And so I've been in this space, food, beverage, supplements, fitness, wellness, right, throughout my career. But up until now, it's been in executive roles, right? At large companies doing really good things in the world, better for you, foods and beverages. So the wonderful company, I was at Beachbody for a while, Irwin Naturals, so a supplement company, and knowing that we are doing good things in the world. However, right, looking at the state of the world and looking at the trend line, it's broken, right? We are really in a health epidemic, the way that I see it, when you look at essentially any chronic diseases, especially like cardio-metabolic diseases, diabetes, obesity, hypertension, blood pressure. They're massive and they're getting worse. And so it's not working. Like everything we're doing in technology and medicine and big food and even better for you, right? It's not solving the problem. And I was like, there's got to be a better way, right, to go about this. And then, so that was sort of the head part. And I knew that there was a need and a business opportunity, but why I decided to start this as opposed to do it in a large company and just create some new products really goes back to a personal story, right, from me. I was motivated. My sister Monica is my personal inspiration. So she was an unbelievable character, full of life and energy, hilarious. But she struggled with her health, like so many others, right? I mean, she struggled with her weight, with her blood sugar control. So she lived with diabetes, had high blood pressure as well. And she tragically passed away, like far too young, due to complications with her health during a high-risk pregnancy. And as you can imagine, like experiencing something like that shook me to my core. And especially, in this day and age, and especially, as a health and wellness executive, right? I'm like helping people, trying to motivate and encourage people to live healthier lives. And I'd sent Monica all kinds of shakes and workout videos, and she tried everything. She was on lots of medications, so forth, but nothing changed her trajectory. Nothing stuck, right? And nothing could fundamentally help her change her outcome. And that fire,
Marc,
that lit a fire.
I got to imagine it's like, here you are, a pillar of wellness and health, and you're shaking up the world. You're changing the world, like you said, and all these other big companies, man. Really, like the companies you listed, these guys are movers and they're changing the trajectory of the world, and yet you can't even help your own sister, your own family, your own blood.
Own family. Yeah, so you can imagine like that really, really did shake me to my core, caused me to really get in my head and think about the state of the world and frankly, what am I here to do, right? And that's where it came to me. That's where these sides came together of there is a need to do more and that there are so many others that are struggling, just like Monica was. What can I do to change the game? And if not me, then who, right? If not now, then when? And it kind of came together. I was like, okay, it's time to create something. It's time to start something that changes the game that can fundamentally impact public health. And I really give a lot of credit to my original investors, my seed investors called the Production Board out of San Francisco, founded by Dave Freeberg, to really connect me to the science of the gut and the gut microbiome, right? Because I knew that there was a better way. I believed in it. And I believed there was a natural way to help people live healthier, ideally preventatively. And it was really connecting to the science of the gut that I was like, that's it. This is the pathway. Like, the science is so profound, and we're just at the surface of it, of, just the unbelievable connection between your gut and essentially everything else that's going on in your body, physically, physiologically, mentally. It all has some connection or tie to what's going on in your gut, including all these massive conditions that I was talking about, like blood sugar control and weight control and mental health, and like all these things are connected, and literally your gut is like that common connection between all these. So that was sort of the pathway for me to create this business, start it from scratch, even at this later stage, in my this next era of my career, but with the business that's focused on gut health for all.
When you were thinking about, I'm just curious, when you were thinking about, you knew the powers of gut health. You knew that, man, obviously we know, man, these stats get thrown around all the time. And we know that they're 80% of your immunity is tied to your gut. There's the gut-brain connection, all this stuff. So when you started learning about the gut and how powerful it was, when you created Supergut, were you really, I'm just curious, were you only thinking in terms of, man, this is going to be powerful for metabolic health? And we'll talk about that also. Or was it, no, Joel, it's everything. It's metabolic health. It's depression, anxiety. It's immunity. What were your thoughts? Or is it everything, or were you really focused on kind of type 2 diabetes and the metabolic health side?
Yeah. So I'd say where I started, and where we've grown to. I would say it started with a more focused path, right, as to gut health as the pathway, right, for primarily metabolic health, right? Because that's like, at the end of the day, is such an impact on your health, your well-being, is your body's ability to consume and process food and use it in productive ways, et cetera. And so that all kind of is connected to metabolic health. So I'd say that was sort of the outset, the target focus, and the gut was sort of the pathway. And it was really when I got into it, I was like, that's massive. That changes the world. But guess what? It doesn't stop there. Like, that's the beauty of gut health. When done the right way, it can serve as your foundation for total health. And so we've actually evolved to say, yes, we absolutely can address metabolic health, blood sugar control, weight management. But guess what? The way that we are balancing and rebuilding this foundation, this gut, it doesn't stop there. It actually does have ties and connection to this broader platform for better health. So energy, mood, sleep quality. Like, we've actually seen this, through real world evidence. We've actually proven it, right, in a clinical study, that it is inclusive of digestion, inclusive of metabolic health, but also includes these broader gut-brain connections as well, that it moves in a positive direction, because we are truly rebuilding that foundation for health, which is in your gut.
Huge. And we saw in the pandemic, there's 70% of people or something like that were mostly affected by the virus, were people in poor metabolic health. And
exactly.
And right now, the latest statistic I've seen is 6.8% of the population is actually metabolically healthy.
Yeah.
And that is a travesty.
I like to say it the other way around. Like, over 95% of us are metabolically unhealthy, right? So that means
100%.
this is all of us, right? I mean, this is something, because at first people are like, oh, well, that's great. Well, you're talking about blood sugar, et cetera. So that's for someone who's living with diabetes. Well, I don't have diabetes. Well, guess what? A lot of folks do, right? But, 10% of us do. But 35% of us have pre-diabetes, but just most of you don't know it, right? So now you're up to 50% of us that have elevated blood sugar levels. So this isn't just about those who are living with a chronic metabolic disease, which is a lot of people. This is all of us. This is absolutely all of us that need to be out in front of this. And metabolic health is, that gateway to better overall health.
Yeah. So talk about how Supergut and these prebiotics, how they can help solve that problem. I will just say before you answer, I got a chance to use a CGM, and I've played with, this was a long time ago with Dave Asprey when he first came out with his prebiotic Inner Fuel product. And it was really fascinating to see, and when I put it in my coffee, that it actually blunted my blood sugar, which was kind of you wouldn't expect, because coffee spikes cortisol. It's going to spike blood sugar. I actually had a drop, and that was the power of prebiotics. I said, wow, that's amazing. But yeah, speak on how Supergut can, these prebiotics, why they're so powerful for metabolic health, and what else they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say one of the first things I typically do, because most folks that are somewhat familiar with gut health typically immediately go to probiotics, right? Yeah. That's the more known, that's been out there. And that's, frankly, I've been familiar with probiotics. We had probiotics in, our shakes at Beachbody, et cetera. And like when getting into this, really understanding the profound depth of the science of the gut microbiome, came to realize that probiotics, most of them are like okay for you, but they're not really fundamentally changing your gut. Like they're more like a passing thing that might incrementally help you. But guess what? Your body has the machinery. You've got the tooling. You've got trillions of microbes in your gut already. The problem is we're not feeding them what they need. That is the issue with, frankly, gut health and metabolic health, is we're not nourishing our gut. And what is it that nourishes our gut? That's what a prebiotic does. Kind of by definition, a prebiotic found in plants, found in foods, bypasses the normal digestion to feed the good bugs in your gut. Right, that's why we all need, and none of us get enough. Like prebiotics are mostly found in fiber, and literally the other stat says 95% of us do not get the minimum recommended amount of fiber in our diets. Right, so there's the gap. Right, and so how do we fill that? So all fiber is good for you. Most of it has a lot of prebiotics. They're not all created equal though. Like so, when honing in on this, we really tapped into the most powerful forms of prebiotics that we could find, and created our own proprietary blend. So we tap into a couple different types of prebiotics that have a diverse set to feed different bugs. In particular, this class of prebiotics called resistant starch. It's called resistant because it's very resistant to digestion, which is a good thing, which means it's really effective at getting in and feeding really important bugs in your gut. Found in starchy plant foods like unripened green bananas, like some beans and legumes. We also get other prebiotics from oats. So we created our own really powerful prebiotic blend, and that's what we put into Supergut products. And so it fundamentally works. So like you described, when you consume prebiotics, especially like those in Supergut, so I'll take our prebiotic fiber, for instance. It is, an add to anything powder that you can turn essentially any beverage or food that you can mix it into a gut health superfood. What we've seen, we've also done testing, right? We've done a clinical study, but we've also done some pilot studies with CGMs. It's one of the first ways that you can see it immediately. If you consume a meal, even if it's a high glycemic meal, but if you have our Supergut prebiotic fiber with it, it absolutely blunts your blood sugar spikes. It keeps it unbelievably nice and stable. We tested it like for a week with high glycemic breakfast items, so a bagel and juice and donuts and so on and so forth. But when you have exactly, I was like, sign me up.
You're sign me up. Donuts now.
Sign me up, right?
Yeah.
Sign me up. And so we did that like for 1 week eating those foods. Obviously, blood sugar spikes, right? And what was crazy to me, cereal, just plain old Rice Krispies, blood sugar spiked through the roof. I was like, seriously? This isn't even like Lucky Charms. This is Rice Krispies. Yeah. The next week, we had the same cereals. We added the Supergut fiber, and it absolutely blunted, the blood sugar spike. On average, it was like a 30% lower area under the curve when you had the Supergut prebiotic fiber, because it helps slow down the overall digestive process for whatever you're consuming along with it, right? And so it helps blunt that. So that's like the immediate measurable effect of the prebiotics in Supergut. There's also the long-term effect of the gut modulation and appetite control over long-term if you stick to it as a daily habit over time as well.
Have you seen anything also in just terms of just weight loss, like actual number of pounds? I don't know if there's been any studies yet. I mean, we could obviously assume if you continue to do this and you start eating healthier, and you and I were talking offline too, there's bacteria. Like you said, the gut is so fascinating. There's bacteria in your gut that there's actual fat bacteria. And if you continue to feed your fat bacteria, you're going to stay fat or get fatter.
Yeah,
but you can actually feed the healthy, the skinny, quote unquote. Skinny.
That's a way to put it. Yeah. No, I love it.
Yeah. So obviously we know long term, but has anything been done long term? Have you seen that yet?
Yes, it has. Like, this is another area that, remember when we started, we really were focused on metabolic health and the primary measures of metabolic health, blood sugar control and weight, right? Appetite and weight, right? And so we're really targeting, some of those areas. And so we had a lot of consumers who were looking to make significant strides in their health, in bring their blood sugar levels down, to get to a healthier weight. And so we've absolutely seen, especially when we put it into a shake, right? And so think of like your typical protein shake with a healthy protein and some fats and vitamins and minerals. We did that, but super clean label. But on top of that, we added in like this unbelievable prebiotic, our Supergut prebiotic mix into our shakes. It's actually, 20 grams of fiber in a shake, right? And so that's like this Trojan horse away. So it's getting all the goodness of a great shake, but it really is fundamentally transforming your gut. When someone consumes our shake over time, one of the great things is it is absolutely filling, right? So that's called the first thing, is just helping you. You're getting the good stuff in, and it's helping you avoid the bad stuff, right? When you just feel full and satisfied, you're not getting the munchies, you're not going out and snacking nearly as much, and that has a huge impact on weight. But the other aspect of it is when you're doing it over time, you're tapping into some of this, the microbiome mechanism. You're feeding, in your words, you're feeding the skinny bugs, right? And crowding out the fat bugs, right? Those that are keeping you unhealthy. And when you do that over time, it actually creates these unbelievably important byproducts called short chain fatty acids. And those are like the unlock. This is the mechanism that taps into so many different systems in your body, including the hormones that are responsible for appetite control, right? And so there really is this fundamental pathway that's natural that, when you nourish your gut with the right foods, the right prebiotics, you're actually affecting your insulin response and the hormones that affect appetite as well. So much so, we talked offline about this. This is the same mechanism that you hear about, that these breakthrough drugs that everybody's flocking to now to lose weight, like these drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy, which were originally designed to, for blood sugar control. But there's this unbelievable connection between blood sugar control and weight management. And they're basically, these hormones that people are injecting themselves for $1,000 a month to get this quick fix to lose weight, etc. Yes, it absolutely does work in terms of weight loss, but there's a ton of side effects, and you basically need to stay on those drugs if you want to keep that weight off, because if you get off it and you haven't changed your eating habits, you're going to put the weight back on. There's side effects as nausea, bloating, diarrhea, etc. Okay, so there's you lose weight, but there's a lot of bad stuff.
Yep.
Guess what? This is the same mechanism that your body was meant to do naturally. You have the machinery. You just need to be nourishing and fueling your gut, the skinny bugs in your gut, the right things. And your body was naturally meant to do that. We actually proved this in our clinical study. We're literally feeding the bugs responsible for producing those byproducts, including those hormones that are responsible for insulin sensitivity and appetite control, called GLP-1. That's the same stuff that's going into these drugs. So you don't need the drugs. You can do it. It's within you.
It's so powerful. As you were talking, we were talking about just appetite control and cravings. As a coach in the holistic health space and who's helped a lot of people lose weight holistically, one of the things we see in long-term studies, why people don't stay on their diet or why they don't lose weight long-term, is leptin and ghrelin levels, which is your hunger. I know you know this, but your hunger hormones and your craving, but essentially your craving hormones, is that they're dysregulated. And so over time, even as people lose weight, they eventually gain it all back because those are out of line. And one of the famous peptide, semaglutide, is used effectively to manage cravings. Yeah. What if we could just manage cravings and leptin and ghrelin control through prebiotics? And control GLP-1. Huge.
That's exactly what it is. Like, literally, you spoke to the mechanism that we were talking about. Like, we are so excited in our clinical, because we did, in addition to measuring the metabolic outcomes, right? Weight, we did see weight loss. Blood sugar, we did see blood sugar reduction. We saw better blood pressure as well. We also tapped into the microbiome test. We wanted to understand how this is working as well, to see some of this mechanism. And so we were able to show we did modulate the gut microbiome. We did feed some of those skinny bugs, right, responsible for these byproducts that actually increase production of GLP-1, these semaglutides, right, that are then turned into, these pharmaceutical weapons, so to speak. So absolutely, the body's in there, but it's a learned behavior over time, though, right? And that's why, just like with the drugs, as you come off them, you gain the weight back. Even if you lose weight right away, but you haven't stuck with it over time with a daily habit and reoriented your body has kind of been trained to revert to the mean, right? And if you train your body over time that you're gonna be hungry and you need to eat more, if you just go with a quick fix and you haven't changed your habit over time, your body reverts to the mean and you put it back on. And that's part of the reason why, and I'm sure you know this, 95% of diets fail, right, over the long term to actually lose weight and to sustain it over time.
Yeah, huge. You also mentioned fiber, and I hear so much, and I'm sure you do too, being in this space with the carnivore diet. You don't need fiber. What do you say to that, or what is the flip side that the carnivores you think might be missing?
Yeah, so there's one thing that I try to do is to avoid being overly judgmental about any one particular diet or belief system. Because one thing I think is true is that there are different things that do work for some different individuals. And I do think we're on the precipice of more of this personalization and things that, for whatever reason, your body responds to something somewhat differently than the average or the masses, etc. So I tend to be pretty moderate, right, when it comes to trying different diet patterns or approaches that work for different individuals. I will say that, the science is very strong behind prebiotics, and therefore, where prebiotics come from is largely fiber, especially in regards to your gut health, for long-term sustained health. And so I would say for someone that's doing carnivore, I'd say it's great if you're getting results. I would say just be thoughtful and careful about how long, over what extended time period that you go without incorporating some form of prebiotics into your diet, even if it's in supplement form, right? Even if it's not, through a ton of plants and veggies, which I generally lean more towards. But if you're following a carnivore diet, at least try to find some ways to supplement, to rebalance your gut, because the science is really, really sound, and there's a lot of evidence just around just how important the prebiotics nourishing your gut is, for gut health and overall health. So yeah, maybe try a fiber powder, right, or something, right? I mean, just to complement, what it is that you're doing to keep your gut in a healthy, balanced state is what I would generally suggest.
Mark, do you see a lot of people also using your products with intermittent fasting? And the reason I'm thinking this is I remember Dr. Gundry talked in one of his books that there was a study done where I believe the individuals, they ate nothing but prebiotic fiber, and I can't remember for how many days. It was like 13 days. And that was it. They had like 100 calories of prebiotic fiber, no other food.
Wow.
And they felt satiated and sustained. And it actually was like a kind of a cool intermittent or fasting hack.
That's interesting. So,
yeah.
I haven't seen that study, but I will say to your original question, absolutely. There's a pretty fair number of customers who are using Supergut, along with an intermittent fasting routine. And many times it's, and I've seen it actually at both ends, right? I mean, one, to potentially break the fast, or at least part of, the diet regimen to break the fast. But I've also seen some do it at the other end, to actually help you last through the fast, because, the fibers that are in, the prebiotics that are in the fiber are so slowly digested to actually keep you satiated for longer, and so actually can be beneficial to make it through, and still perform, and still be on top of your game.
That's what I'd be doing
during intermittent fasting. So yeah, we've seen it on both ends.
Yeah. Let's talk also just about some of your ingredients and just some of the overall products you have. Like you've mentioned already, you've got the powder for shakes, you've got bars. I think you've even got little packs that you could just throw in water. So kind of talk about that, and then also talk about the clean ingredients. Like I highlighted earlier, I think it's really important for people to understand. You guys are using some clean sugars out there, like allulose and. That's kind of been the new people are that's the new baby on the market, where people are saying, hey, this is a really clean sugar, and it's not, and you can kind of speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we do have 3 different product lines at Supergut. I'll start with our prebiotic mix, because that's basically the foundation, right? That's what we created that was really special and unique about Supergut, is this prebiotic blend, including these resistant starches, combined with other forms of prebiotics that have this diverse set of prebiotics that we can get into your diet. So we do offer that as a prebiotic standalone mix. It's incredibly versatile. We say it's like the most versatile way to just add to any beverage to get health, and in particular gut health, out of a beverage, whether it's just water. Most people actually add it to coffee, right, in the morning. You can add it to a smoothie. You can add it to oatmeal. Frankly, we've even shown that you can bake with it, right? That's how versatile our prebiotic mix is. And so that's sort of one product. I'd say where we started, actually, though, was putting that into a shake, right, into a fully formed shake that many people use as a meal replacement. Right, and so it very clean. So 15 grams of protein. There's healthy fat, 26 vitamins and minerals. Like it's think of like the best, cleanest shake that you can think of out there, and then add like 15 to 20 grams of fiber on top of that. That is what our shake is. So it's a really hearty, filling shake. Like I'm drinking one right now. It's my breakfast just about every morning. It's foundational for health, for gut health, but really, really good for metabolic health as well. And so in particular, if someone's looking to manage healthier weight or lose weight or to bring blood sugar levels down, we typically would steer them towards the shake. And then our third product.
And that's what I was using too, by the way. I've got a chance to try your products, and that's kind of how I like personally. I mean, everyone's different, but I like the smoothie. I'm a big smoothie guy in the morning for breakfast.
Me too.
And then I get hydrated, and to have that satiation is big for me too, where it can prolong my day. Very helpful. Very helpful.
You and I are on the same system, Joel. And then the third product that we have is essentially the same concept as the shake, but put in a bar format. Right? Everybody loves bars, and everybody has. I'd say most everybody snacks in some form or fashion. Unfortunately, many times that's where you go off the rails. Is between trying to be good in the meals, and then in between you're like grabbing chips or whatever, right? So we have this bar, right? It is literally the first gut health bar on the market, like packed with these prebiotics, just in a bar form. One of the things that is really fundamental and foundational to the overall thought across all of these products is it's not good enough to just be functional. Yes, we know, we've done the science, the research, we've done the clinical studies. It absolutely fundamentally works, but we want to make it delicious, right? That goes back to the habit, because if you're going to maintain and actually get results over the long term, it needs to be a habit. There's no magic pill. And to do that, I think you've got to make it convenient, accessible, and dare I say, delicious. And so, like, people really, really love, like, the taste, like, they enjoy the shakes, right? They really, really love the bars. We've actually had difficulty keeping the bars in stock because people are shocked that this is actually healthy. And if someone's actually tracking their blood sugar, we freaking love it, because this thing, it keeps your blood sugar levels absolutely stable.
Yep.
Most any other bar out there, I love bars. They taste great, but the vast majority of them, you might as well have a candy bar, right? Because your blood sugar is going to spike and you're going to crash. And you're going to be hangry like half an hour later. So that's sort of the product line that we have. And then you're asking about ingredients. Like, it's just a belief for me. I was like, I wanted to create a super clean, all natural products as we're doing this. And so, so we avoid any artificial ingredients. There's no soy. These are non-GMO products. It's actually, another thing that we focus on with our prebiotic. It's actually called low FODMAP, which is kind of rare in fiber, but it means it's more easily tolerated. And that's especially important for somebody that's dealing with digestive symptoms like IBS, where it's hard to get fiber into your diet. This is actually a much more approachable type of fiber, and therefore types of products, because ours, it's actually pretty well tolerated, and it's actually certified low FODMAP. And then the things that we
Mark,
put in...
I got to cut you off. That's huge.
Okay.
That's huge, because I have a lot of clients that, not just IBS, but SIBO is very popular.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a very common thing, especially for these stressed. A lot of the high performers and people I work with, they're stressed. And so it's
all connected. Yeah.
It's all connected. And SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, is very common for them, and they get bloated typically when they don't have when they do have fiber. And so hearing you say that it actually is low FODMAP, and most of these folks will get put on a low FODMAP diet coupled with some other things that we do.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. So that's cool.
Yeah, thank you. It was definitely very intentional, because we were like, in order for this to be effective, you need to get a pretty good amount amount of this into your diet. And that's one of the, when I said like not all fibers are created equal, that's one of the issues with many, if not most other forms of fiber. It can be, there's kind of a cap for how much you can get without, blowing up like a balloon, especially those like that are dealing with digestive symptoms like SIBO, like IBS. And then in terms of ingredients that we do put in, like we really focus on the quality of the ingredients that we put in. One of the things I'm a big anti-sugar guy, so to speak. I think sugar is kind of the root of so many of the evils that we're dealing with frankly gut health, as well as just overall metabolic health, right? You talk about the fat bugs right in your gut. Guess what they love to eat? They love sugar, man. Like seriously, they love themselves some sugar in all its forms, right? Not just sugar, but highly digestible carbs, right? That's what the fat bugs in your gut love to eat. We're like, no sugar. Like, we cannot add. I made it really, really hard on my product development team. I'm like, it's got to be unbelievably functional. It's got to taste absolutely delicious. Oh, yeah, and by the way, you can't put any sugar in it. They're like, that's impossible. I was like, guess what? That's where the magic happens, right? And so we don't put sugar in any of our products, but we do make them taste great. And so we're looking for alternatives, and that's where we came upon allulose, right? And so it's still an emerging ingredient, naturally available in plant foods, right? It's about 70% as sweet as sugar, but it doesn't spike your sugar. It doesn't spike your blood sugar. It's very, very low caloric. And frankly, some of the evidence is coming out. Not only is it not doing the harm that sugar does, some evidence is coming out that is actually providing some functional benefits and potentially through your gut. There's more to come, right? Yeah. But we really, really feel good. It really gives a similar mouthfeel, and it actually has helped us to create some really delicious as well as functional products. So it's one of the key aspects of our natural sweetener system in our products.
Yeah, you guys have done an excellent job. And allulose, Peter Attia, who a lot of people know, Dr. Peter Attia, who speaks a lot about metabolic health, he's a big fan of allulose as well. So I think you guys made the right choice, and you're doing some really cutting edge things.
I think so as well. I think there's still emerging. So I know there's still some that are, on the lookout, like what's this about and so forth. But I think that the science continues to emerge. I think you'll continue to see more and more about this. Like, we've got to find ways to get out of sugar in all its forms, right? Yeah. And so, so things that can do that, I'm fully, proponent of, like allulose.
Yeah, I guess the alternative is get a Krispy Kreme donut and just throw some Supergut on it.
There you go. You said it. You said that, not me. Well, I will tell you this: it's not going to do as much damage.
That's right.
If you do add Supergut to you, I'm not going to say that's a healthy meal.
The clinical trials showed that.
Exactly.
Hey man, I wanted to ask you, what exciting projects are coming up for you guys? What's new and innovative that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, one of the biggest things for us is more business-wise. Like, we started out our business. We're still early, nascent business. We're all digitally native today, right? So today, the only place to find out about Supergut is our site. Supergut.com. We're not even on Amazon yet. We're not in physical retail. For us, it's like now we've honed in on our brand. We literally just, relaunched under Supergut less than a year ago. So we're pretty new. We're pretty nascent. We're getting ourselves out there. People are starting to hear about it. When people hear about it and they try it, they absolutely love it. The next step for us is about awareness and distribution, right? How do we get our products out there so that people can actually try it, experience it for themselves, and obviously come back to us. So for us, that's channel expansion. So we're obviously looking at Amazon, but I'd say even more importantly, we want to be out in retail shelves. We want our products to be accessible where people are shopping for the majority of the food and nutrition that they're putting in their bodies. And so that's a big effort for us, is to create that awareness. And we're starting to make some inroads with some really, really high caliber, retail outlets to get Supergut on the shelf. So that's the biggest thing that we have, coming up as a business.
Phenomenal. I'm sure you guys are going to have no problem. I'll see you at Whole Foods pretty soon, I'm sure. So I'm not too worried about it.
I love that, and I agree. We got to talk to them about allulose. Like, they're still not fully there on the allulose train. But again, I think as the science emerges, I think they will get there, as will so many others.
Maybe you have to go the Amazon route to go to the Whole Foods route. Cause
there you go. They are.
Yeah,
all in the family.
Hey, I wanted to kind of wrap things up and jump into some final round questions that I ask every guest. But before we do that, is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you wish I had?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of alluded to it before. I just want to be really transparent just around gut health broadly, and because it's a theme and it's a quote unquote trend. I think it's very different than other trends that have been out there. And I've been in the space forever, right? And so I've seen every trends and fads come and go. Gut health is really foundational and fundamental. However, you see, as with anything that starts to get popular amongst consumers, you see many people sort of trying to make claims and grab onto it, and make gut health claims. This is good for your gut, etc. I think I'm a little concerned about that. I mean, especially a lot of them aren't really doing much that really taps into the science of the gut microbiome, right? And
Mark, give an example, and without naming a brand, because I know that's not your style. You're not
not my style, but I will give you some things that you can infer.
Because I need to know as a consumer too. I'm on the cutting edge of this stuff, but I learned from people like you. You're like, but the problem is, for example, such and such company. I won't name their name.
Yes.
But they're saying this, and that's just not true. I mean, it helps all of us learn.
So one broad statement: most store-bought probiotics over the counter aren't doing a whole lot for your health. Like, full stop. Right? I mean, there's just really limited evidence around the strains, the amounts, the delivery format, the shelf stable. Is it actually surviving the digestive process, and is it staying, resident and conferring a significant benefit on the individual? And
couldn't agree more with you.
Few.
Colleen Cutcliffe from Pendulum Glucose Control Pendulum. I'm sure you're aware of their company.
I am.
Yeah. She said the same thing. She's like, they're a complete waste of money. I would never even buy my money.
They just don't work. They just don't work. So that's the first thing. I'd say second of all, like, even then when you take on that, so not even just a probiotic pill, but then you talk about different products and shakes and so forth that might sprinkle a little bit of probiotics in there, or sprinkle a little bit of even prebiotics in there. And then talk about, this is not only good for the stuff we said before, this is good for gut health. So you see that with a lot of, shakes and supplements. You even see that with a lot of greens powders that are now talking about, this is the gut health solution. Not only is it like the great superfoods and vitamins and minerals, this is great gut health. I was like, this is, just be good at what you are. Like, you're a great, better for you way to get vitamins into your diet. This is not a gut health solution, right? Unless you show me, like, you've got a significant volume of prebiotics, likely in the form of fiber, like in that, and it's the types of prebiotics that have been clinically proven to deliver results. Let's just not talk about, like, gut health, like this is going to change your life, because I think the concern is, like, that could literally be what dampens this whole trend, like this belief around gut health as its support, because it is fundamental to health. I truly believe that gut health is the future of health. Like, when you go to your doctor 5-10 years from now, you're not just going to take your weight and your blood pressure and a blood sample. You're going to give a stool sample, and you're going to have a profile of what's happening in your microbiome, and there's going to be some direction about it. I truly believe that. But in order to get there, like, there's a belief system, right, around this. And so we need to have products that fundamentally work and deliver on that promise and aren't just making claims, because that could literally play into the psyche. People are buying these things expecting, like, their lives to change because if somebody's making a gut health claim because it's got a little bit of probiotics in there and it's not working, like, that could fundamentally impact consumer belief and trust in, brands that are really doing the work, doing the science, and creating products that fundamentally tap into the real science of the gut. So you just have to, unfortunately, you have to do your research a little bit, right, before just trying the next product that claims to be supportive of gut health. First thing to look at, does this have prebiotics in it, and how much and what type? That's the first thing that I would suggest when thinking about gut health products.
On that note, I'm just thinking too, have you guys, because I'm sure you've played around with the amount, the dosage, like 15 grams, right? I think you said 15 grams is what's in there. I mean, I would also be curious, like, well, what if I only did 5 grams? Or what if I only did 10 grams? Are we seeing this? Obviously, we're not going to see the same effect, but are we even seeing a significant effect? And if not, then it's just a waste. Like, we need at least 15 to even see a significance, right?
Yeah, I would say not exactly close, right? I mean, so the studies show that you should be trying to get 30 grams a day in your diet. It's kind of like the average minimum required. Yep. Most of us get 15. So anything that you're doing to add to that is working in the positive direction. But the more, the better, right? Because that's it. It's just
Mark, I think I'm going to buff you on this one. I think it's actually less than 15. I think the average American's getting like 5 grams of fiber a day. I think I mean, maybe I trust you, but I mean, I remember seeing a study. And I was like, wow, it was shocking. It's like they're getting like 15 grams a week, with all the processed food.
It's nowhere close to enough.
Yeah.
What we have shown is that in particular, we see functional benefits literally with 5 grams, with an incremental 5 grams. And so our fiber mix has like 6 or so grams of fiber that's added. We've seen these significant like blood sugar blunting effects with just that amount, right? But then we get to 10 with our bars, and you're going to get more input. You get 15 to 20, right, with our shakes, so you get even more of that benefit. So in other words, you have one shake, you're basically closing your fiber gap for that day. So you're getting up to the minimum amount with just one shake. And now if you can continue on, if you can get some additional fiber, it still adds to, the benefits over time. It is somewhat cumulative.
Love that. And I love what you said. Yeah, it's so great, because if people go out and they're buying, and I'm just going to Amazing Greens or whatever it is, and they're like, but Joel, I don't need it. I don't need to buy Marc Supergut because I got probiotics in here. And it's like, yes, but it ain't doing anything.
It's not doing anything.
You might as well spend another $10 and just get the Supergut. So I love what you said. That's a great point, because we can get misled thinking this thing has a multivitamin plus greens plus this. It's like I see those products too, and I'm like, yeah, but the dosage is nothing in there. So you're not doing anything.
Yeah, come on. Let's keep it real. I'm a keep it real guy.
yeah. Love that. All right, man. Well, that's beautiful. Let's jump into some final round questions, and I'll get you out of here.
Sure. Sounds good.
I'm curious, in your life and all your pivots and everything you made, were there any choices, or maybe a choice that you think you made that made you who you are today?
Let me see. That's a big question. So the first thing that comes to mind is, yes, there's a number of those choices along my professional career, but when you asked that pretty broadly, I go to the biggest and best decision I ever made in my life was asking that beautiful girl across the dance floor to dance with me, who is my wife today. No, that was amazing. That changed the trajectory of my life, and I wouldn't be who I am or anywhere close to where I am without her. So that by far was the biggest decision ever made in my life to ask that pretty girl to dance.
It's when I always see very powerful men too. Now I just turned 41.
Yeah.
I always find that they have a really solid relationship with their significant other, and it's really helped shape them. And I think about my own life too. So I think you're onto something, and that's a really important and powerful decision to make, because it does change the trajectory. You wouldn't be the successful businessman and father and all these other things without that. So I love that.
For sure. Yeah.
You guys are doing so much in the health and wellness world. What, is there anybody that you follow, or anybody that inspires you that you see in the cutting edge of health and wellness that you're like, man, like that, I learned so much from that person.
It's a really good question. One of the things that I really admire is when someone has they're on top of the science, but they go beyond the science in a way that can communicate and engage folks. 'Cause at the end of the day, for the science to be impactful, you have to get someone to change their behavior. And so what I find really fascinating are, those who are really steeped in the science of health and wellness and the gut, but that have a gift and a talent at ways to communicate that, right, effectively in a way that people can absorb it and actually take action against it. So like Dr. Mark Hyman, right, for instance, who I think has that, and I've met him at some conferences before, and I just always complimented him as he's wealth of knowledge, but I think his biggest gift is being able to break it down in a relatable way so that people can actually take action against it as well. So he would fall into that bucket of folks that I really admire that are doing a lot of good in the world by taking that science but making it accessible and putting it out on social media, right, for all to consume and make healthier decisions. And there's a few others that fall into that bucket, but those are the folks that I really admire that are cutting through and getting all the way out to that consumer at the end of the day.
Love that. I'm a big reader. Is there any books or like a top 1 to 3 books that you're just like, man, like I'm so happy I read that book. It just impacted me. It changed me, who I am, and I would recommend anybody that has the opportunity, go out and read that book.
Yeah, one of the books that actually got me on this path. So I can't admit to being a big reader myself. It's something I've always aspired to do more of, but have never.
You're too busy starting companies and changing the world. So it's okay. We forgive you.
But one of the things at the precipice of this, actually, my founders gave it to me, which was really foundational for me and built this belief, is called the Psychobiotic Revolution. I think it was David Sinclair that wrote it. fascinating stuff. Just it's really talking about the emerging science of the gut microbiome, and not just about gut health and metabolic health, but on mental health, right? And really helped understand this gut-brain connection, and that there's real science behind it. Again, it's still emerging, right? But to show that just bi-directional communication and happening between what's happening in your gut and with your brain, and the production of serotonin and dopamine and these facts that's happening in your gut, right? It was just fascinating and mind-blowing to me. But for me, that was one of the final steps to convince me that this is real, like that the science of the gut microbiome really is real and can have such an impact on health. So that's one of the books that I do point to, that reading that helped solidify things in my mind and help motivate me to head down this path with Supergut.
So good. Last couple of questions, we'll wrap it up. Any rituals or hacks or practices or anything that you do like on a regular basis? Some people do gratitude journaling and cold plunges. Yeah, anything that you do?
Yeah, my main thing, so I'm like holistic health, like both nutrition, food, but fitness as well. I'm working out. So for me, like try to maintain a healthy overall regimen, but my one main go-to is sport. Like I absolutely love sport. Like I said, a former football player. Now for me, that's turned into soccer, right? That's my passion. I'm like, the weekend warrior. I am unbelievably committed every single Sunday. I lace them up and get out there and kick the ball around. It's both for physical fitness, but it also is a big release for me mentally as well. Like I need, because I'm very busy, stressful, running a startup, etc. I need like that physical activity. It's more than just a workout. It really is, I think, largely for mental clarity, to just get out there, move around and bump into people and so forth and compete. Yep. But, without having to think about all the things happening in the world, that for me is one of my main go-to to keep me stable, to keep me, positive energy and clear of mind is my soccer habit.
Yeah, it makes you actually more powerful, so you can go out and do the things that matter and change the world.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
Absolutely.
Agree more. Man, last but not least, Marc Washington, where can people connect with you and learn more about what you're doing in Supergut and all that good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So best place is to come to our website, supergut.com. Obviously, you can come and check out our products there. We do try to be pretty helpful, though, right? And so we do have a fair amount of content that talks about a lot of what we talked about today, like how does this work? What are prebiotics? How does it work, right? For those who really do want to learn more about the science and not just click and buy because I said so. Like there's a lot of helpful content on our site about the science of gut health and how some of this works. And obviously we'd love for folks to check us out as well, check our products out. We're also pretty active on the socials, right? I mean, in the same way to try to elevate, the understanding about gut health and prebiotics. And, so across, in particular, I'd say Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Supergut is a way where we're pretty active out there. So give us a follow, and hopefully you'll learn something, have a little bit of fun talking about gut health out there.
Amazing stuff, brother. Marc Washington from Supergut, thank you so much for being on the show, brother. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Joel. I really appreciate it.